money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Pauly Howard, live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Busy hour on tap, including some college football discussion right now with the great Chris Fowler as he joins the program from ESPN. Chris, it's great to talk to you today. Thanks so much for the time. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm just getting caffeinated, but I'm on the East Coast, so I admire what you guys are doing, up in the inhuman hour that you get up every morning. So I'm happy to join.
It's a fun alarm clock at 1:30, 2 o'clock. Let me tell you, when you're going to bed at 9, 10 o'clock at night.
That's like a nightmare for me. That's a nightmare. I'm nocturnal. I mean, that is just, I've had occasions where I got to be up in the middle of the night for stuff, like calling the Australian Open from 16 time zones away last year. But
yeah,
I don't know how you do it on a daily basis, brother.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's start. Okay, first of all, you were on the Texas-Oklahoma game, which was just, as good as it gets, and it was completely off the rails. But I want to ask you a question about sports betting to begin and how we've evolved here. Because you have, Chris Felic is on the broadcast with you guys, and he's awesome, and he's been into this for a long time. So like this year in 2021, how much time is spent in the pregame production meeting talking about sports betting compared to what it was 3 or 4 years ago when it was probably none?
Yeah, when I started on Game Day, which is a lot longer ago than that, I did 25 years in the show. It was like verboten, man. You couldn't even acknowledge that betting existed. I did something called the Mighty Dog, which was I picked one underdog per week on a little notes column that I did. I did my version of kind of like the Berman NFL notes column, like the 2-minute drill. And I picked one underdog a week, and I had to kind of sneak around. I was supposed to pick a game where the underdog had a chance to win. It was a point spread pick, but I wasn't trying or encouraged not to pick some underdog that had no chance of winning. They're dogs by 21. They're going to lose by 17. That wasn't what they wanted me to say. So I tried to pick a game where the number was closer. I actually went on a roll. Bino Cook was kind of my mentor in all this way back when, for those of you old enough to remember his name. And I actually picked 11 straight winners. I got a taste of that world. He would tell me, Fowler, now you'll go 0-11 to balance it out. He knew that the universe doesn't let you go on like that forever, right? You're going to have a scare. That we all know that. So, but I was riding the crest. And I got a sense early on of the appetite for it because, it didn't matter what else I said in that little notes column. People just waited for the Mighty Dog. And this is pre-internet. You couldn't reach out to somebody via DM. So they would call the switchboard. I would get these, who's the Mighty Dog? Who's the Mighty Dog? My God, it's just, believe me, if you knew how little I put into this, you wouldn't put much faith in it. But when, you get on one of those rolls, and that's the only time in my life I've ever gotten in a roll picking games like that, by the way, you can see the appetite. it slowly began to get worked into Game Day where you could acknowledge. I would use favorites all the time. Now I do it in a broadcast. I'm not in Brent's class, but I will say, hey, here come the Sooners. I said it on Saturday about a field goal favorite or the underdog. I make a reference to favorites and underdogs because I think it's just dumb not to. There's a segment that turns in obviously knows everything about that. There's some who don't know. They don't know who's expected to win the game. They don't know who the favorite is. So I just it's kind of for them that I'll say it. I don't go all out like, oh my goodness, Kirk, when you're getting 3.5 and you're up 21, what a bad beat on the last play of the game for Texas fans. I'm not going to, that's not my world. That's what you guys do. But we certainly acknowledge it much more than used to be.
Very important touchdown in that game like that. Yeah. You've had Georgia twice.
You think you line up, kick a field goal, and rush, but at least you're going to cover, right?
Yeah.
They can't tackle him, and he runs in, and it's like a double kick in the crotch.
Yes, it was. You've had Georgia twice. They've allowed 33 points on the season. We're midway through this thing, and now they're laying 22 against Kentucky. How good is this defense?
You see these teams that are laying huge numbers. In the recent years, we've seen it because the team is an offensive powerhouse, right? Like that's what we've seen. When Bama comes to them in big favorites, it's, well, they're going to score 50. So, yeah, the 20 makes sense. It's the opposite with Georgia, right? Like how many can the opponents score? And then we'll go from there, right? So if Georgia needs to score like 27 to cover, that's all they got to do. That's the reason. I mean, that number doesn't make sense. I've seen Kentucky; they're a good team, right? I mean, you wouldn't think that's not supposed to be the showdown of unbeaten in the SEC in late October, mid October. That's supposed to be a 3-touchdown game. But what I love about that defense is they check every single box. Yeah, they got 5 stars. We know how they're fast and strong and quick and all that, and well coached. They're deep, but they play with passion, man. They're the kind of defense where if you're laying the points, they're not going to let up. I don't care if they're up 28. Yeah. They want to smother you. The backups want to smother you. And they play with a relentless passion for it. I mean, they're coached like they're ground to a pulp by Kirby and that staff. I mean, they coach them hard. There's no tolerance for mistake. You know, it's Saban-esque, you know, no matter what the score is. But they really like each other. You guys know that's not a thing that you look at in the numbers usually. It's an intangible. But it matters because they play really hard, and there's a tremendous pride. Like, it shows through, right? Like you know, the numbers are the numbers, but when you watch them play, that shows, and that's why I think they're almost like an outlier in the sport this year in terms of the way they play defense, and that's why the numbers are so big, in my opinion. Everybody's like, can we just get to Atlanta? I'll just be Alabama and Georgia. If it's the first of 2, so be it. But now it's not, right? Because now Alabama losing changes the equation.
Right. For all the money, Pauly.
They would show up that much must win, I guess, at that point.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Chris Fowler, our guest. This is what Herbie said about Iowa. And we went through this a couple of years ago about, oh, my God, what if Iowa gets in the playoffs? But I respect this team and this program, and it's 28 games in a row. They've held their opponent to 24 or fewer. See, Herbie said they're the MMA fighter. You go in the second round, both sides are bleeding, and they get you in that chokehold, and you're out. And they make you tap out. They don't care. That's their style of football. And if you're an SEC or Big 12 fan, you think they're overrated. But when you get in the ring with them, you want no part of them. Where are you at with Iowa?
That's a great quote.
Yep.
That's a really good quote. That streak would have been broken if Clifford doesn't get knocked out of the game. I'll say that.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think they win if Clifford stays in there. I'm just going to say it, and that's Iowa fans can get mad. But that's filed under we'll never know. They're off. They couldn't complete a pass. They were getting routed. The crowd was out of it completely. Then he goes out of the game, and it shows you better have 2 quarterbacks ready in this sport. I'll tell you what. I mean, teams like Georgia, when Daniels has barely played in the last month, you know, they have Bennett, who's experienced, and they got him ready. Iowa didn't have a kind of offense that excites you, but I like that kind of football. I really do. I don't know if you can go 13-0 like that. I love the MMA reference. I think it's very true. The numbers don't fully reflect how tough it is to beat them. I think in a year where defense is making a comeback, Iowa is a great representative of that.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that Ferentz is young Ferentz is a good play caller. I think that they made some adjustments, but Penn State's defense was in control of that game early. So I put a little bit of an asterisk on that one, and that I don't think they win unless the quarterback gets knocked out.
Totally agree. Yep. You're on TCU in Oklahoma this weekend. If you're Lincoln Riley, do you go back to Spencer Rattler, or do you stick with the freshman quarterback Caleb Williams, who led them in that comeback victory against Texas?
I mean, he's got a situation with a lot of layers, doesn't he? Because the home crowd wants to see Caleb Williams. And they were the ones that were calling for Rattler's job a couple weeks ago. We were there for the West Virginia game. At that point, Rattler had 75% completions. He was playing okay. More than okay. Actually, he was playing well. And he was playing well going into Texas. He came off his best game. So he throws a pick that's really the tight end's fault. And then he fumbles the ball, which is all his fault. And it's kind of deja vu. And then Williams comes in and does what he does. And now Lincoln's got this decision. He's not going to name a starter. We're on a conference call with him later today. I doubt he's going to tell us. I don't think he even knows yet. But Williams is getting a lot of reps in practice, as you would expect. My sense is he'd have a plan to use them both. Because I don't think you kick Rattler to the curb. Have we ever seen anything like this in the sport, guys, by the way?
No.
Have you ever seen it? I haven't. Preseason Heisman favorite.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he deserved it, but he was. You guys are the only ones who decided who the favorite is out there in that city, and Vegas made him the odds maker favorite to win the Heisman, and he's lost his job to a true freshman without losing a game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yep.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Guys, we got to make a change. We lost a couple games. He's playing poorly. No, he's not playing poorly. He didn't take care of the ball. I don't know, man. But the reason why I say there's layers, not that really Riley really cares that much about the crowd, but what does it say about recruiting? Where is the team stand on this? You know, Kirk spotted something, and I think we both noticed it. He said it. The vibe, the way the team is responding to Williams in the sidelines for Oklahoma tells you something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I think he's popular. I think the team respects him. I think they connect with him as a leader. It's something that's subtle sometimes. They would never talk about it publicly, but the body language, I think, tells the truth a lot of the time. I don't know. I think he's going to know a lot more than we do by just being inside the walls of the program. But I'm intrigued. It's the major intrigue for that game because they should handle TCU, which is really beat up. But this is a playoff contending team that has a big question, and you got to handle it right and not lose the locker room, right?
Yep. All right, Chris. Thanks so much for the time today. Great talking to you, and have a great call this weekend on that game on ABC. Yeah,
I hope you can hang with them. We like close games, so we'll see. But I appreciate it, guys. Anytime.